Today's video is all about Graphlinq. Create dApps, launch your own coins, build bots, and design AI agents. Guys, today we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking into some of the fundamentals, the team, the tokenomics, the utility, and the overall value proposition, trying to figure out whether this project has what it takes to make it to our portfolio. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. And the question is Graphlinq an opportunity? Guys, we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, trying to figure out what this project is all about. Does it offer some real value here? Should we be bullish? Should we be bearish? Should we be neutral? Should we be accumulating? And as we see some of these altcoins reach bear market bottoms, that is the biggest question. Are we buying the dip? Are we buying into new projects? And of course, Graphlinq, is a newer project, part of an interesting narrative that has been a little bit, showing a bit of weakness, but obviously with weakness comes opportunity. All right, guys, as you can see, the website is looking pretty good, and we're going to use the website as our main platform to navigate this project. We're going to be looking at it and hoping that the marketing team or the team itself has provided all kinds of details for us so that we can get fundamentally bullish. We want to make sure that we can get access to the tokenomics and all that kind of stuff and the overall details that make us bullish. And I'm going to be taking a retail perspective. Guys, I'm going to be coming out here looking at this from a retail perspective. Why? Because as we get new players into this space, we want to make sure that all the information is readily available to the newcomers and that it's spelled out, easy to understand and easy to feel bullish about it. And of course, that would make less friction, ultimately building big bags on great projects. All right, guys, so let's begin. Let's see what's going on here. Obviously, as we stumble upon the main page here, you can see create dApps, launch your own coins, build bots, and design AI agents. Obviously, the AI agents part of it is definitely standing out to me. And obviously, it is a narrative that has been hot, but then not. And this is part of the lens that we got to put on here today, is because really, what do you feel about AI agents? What's your conviction? The reality is, if AI agents make a comeback and there is a future for these agents, that's great. But there's a big difference between the agents and launchpads. Now, there's a couple of things that we got to keep in mind. Number one, in most cases, we don't really need an AI agent as of now. But as progress, continues on daily life, we might say, you know what, I wish I had an AI agent that would do XYZ for me online, obviously within the Web3 space. And this is where things like launchpads, projects that offer launchpad capabilities become very useful, because you don't need a tech background in order to launch an AI agent. However, in the last little while, I've been noticing a lot of these launchpads are falling behind, and not only falling behind, but not really meeting up to expectations. And the quality of the agents are not meeting expectations. So what I'm going to do is be very frank here and very clear that as I look at launchpads as not a great place right now, I don't say that Graphlinq is part of that, because reality is that I think its main focus, as you can see, is to provide a launchpad, but also to allow you to create deploy your own coins. So I'm almost like a one-stop shop, right? Whereas other launchpads in the agent space require that you bring in your own liquidity from another chain or another liquidity provider, or pump.fun, or whatever the case may be. And in this case, it's a one-stop shop. And then I keep on looking at this, and it starts to look like a lot more of a business-to-business solution, right? So let's talk about this a little bit more. We'll scrape through this website. Let's see. We got the Graphlinq IDE, which is a platform of which you can basically program using blocks, and it's a lot easier. A drag-and-drop IDE, which is an integrated development environment that allows programmers or developers to create applications without knowing syntax, which is there's allows a lot less friction for the everyday individual to create an agent or some sort of bot. Okay, so that's interesting there. Now, build with AI. Now you get an AI agent type of assistant that allows building graphs with personal AI bot based on open AI. So the couple things here, let's just pick on some of these points here. First of all, they have their own lingo. Their own lingo for me is a bit of a problem. Like, what are graphs? Right? And, education comes into mind here, because really what you're trying to do is create your own language or your own vocabulary that is specific to your project, and that requires that you educate people. And education in this space is very expensive. You're going to educate a market. You're not only are you going to spend marketing dollars, but you got to spend marketing dollars that focuses on educating people what graphs is, and that is a bit of a friction, in my opinion. And I really don't think that's a great idea. Try to stick with terms and language that people are used to, and that way the barriers to entry or the barriers to understanding what the project is about is a lot easier. Then we go on forward and we start to see that we have open AI, which, is not a decentralized framework. Let's put it that way. At the end of the day, there's a CEO, there's a founder, there's this, there's that. And really, it is a Web 2 AI platform, which, is not really in tune and in line with a decentralized protocol that Graphlinq aims to be. Now, we see a Graphlinq engine, which we'll talk about a bit. I'm going to definitely try to get into some of the technology here, but as you guys know, this is a deep dive based on Web3. As a cryptocurrency, as a blockchain project, now we can easily fall into looking into white papers and technicalities with regards to the tech, but that's not what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to definitely scratch the surface there so that we can talk about exactly what his value proposition is. However, it's very important that we understand its value proposition as a Web3 project. That's super important. That's what I specialize in, okay? Now, speaking of Web3, we do have tokenization. We have a coin. As you can see, a GLQ staking. One of the capabilities that a holder could get involved in is by earning rewards via staking. You stake up your GLQ on the Graphlinq chain and you earn rewards. These are three main points here, but I feel like there's more to be said about the project itself. So let's continue going down. Now, I do see some logos. As you guys know, I'm very critical about logos, and I'm glad to see that they are not claiming as these individuals or these projects as being partners. They are leading companies around the globe that are trusted, that they're trusted by. So this is great. Ultimately, they're just trusted. So they're probably listed on KuCoin, they're listed on Mexi, they're listed on Gate, on BitGet, and so on. Maybe they have some sort of relationship with some of these, like, let's say, Multiverse X or Polygon. They use their tech stack or whatever it is. At the end of the day, these are relationships, not necessarily strategic partnerships. And we have to understand that Graphlinq is very, very small, market cap wise and so on. Even trading volume is so small. So the reality is, to have these heavyweight logos and call them partners would actually be a negative. So I'm actually happy to see that they're being modest and they're being a little bit transparent here with the fact that these are not partners. Okay, so let's move on. Ecosystem products. So this is what they offer as products. Okay, so the Graphlinq AI assistant. So we got an AI assistant. I think that's self-explanatory for all of us, that if you're looking to deploy or get involved on the ecosystem and create an application, you basically have an AI assistant to help you. You have the Graphlinq app: build, monitor, manage, and analyze your dApps in one place. I believe that this is the IDE itself. Okay, so if you know what an IDE is, it's an integrated development environment for developing applications. Graphlinq chain token. So this is where we get straight into the crypto side of things, in the sense that there is a token or a coin, and then there's tokenomics that I would like to make sure that I have this up. So I'm going to open it up in a new tab. I think I do, but all good. And we can see the price and so on, and it's listed on Uniswap, and you can get information on coin market cap. Speaking of coin market cap, a lot of these aggregators, these data aggregators like CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, they have the numbers a little bit off. They're not accurate. I would say that even CoinMarketCap is closest, but still not that accurate. And that is a big problem. And it's not just a problem that because of these third parties not having the right information, because obviously these third parties are not within the control of the Graphlinq team. However, what the Graphlinq team does provide on their website is within the realm of responsibility. So I urge that the Graphlinq team does not rely on third parties, and in fact provide all these tokenomics in a very concise, clean way on their website using some sort of Git book, or update their Git book to include this stuff, because there's a lack of transparency with regards to their numbers all across the board. The tokenomics in general, there's a lot of vagueness and outdated numbers, and it is so confusing to the point that reality is, I think this deep dive is almost like as deep as I can go with regards to transparency. So whatever I say here in this deep dive is basically a true reflection of the confusion that the team is not addressing. Okay, so I'm going to do my best here. Okay, guys, so just keep that in mind. We'll address some of these issues in a second. Let's just keep on going through the website. Decentralized automation for business across multiple blockchains. This is where it's either a good thing or maybe not so much a good thing. And I'll be honest with one thing first, that the business to business, or the business concept in crypto, has never been a very appealing concept. Projects that focused on business solutions never really picked up with so much strength, because we got to understand that crypto is very driven by the retail investor, and we are seeing institutional interest this cycle and all that, which could definitely pivot or change the way projects market themselves as business to business, but it has never been a positive one or a very lucrative one in the past. However, it is almost a good thing here for an AI agent platform. Why? Because we have seen the pump.fun style AI agents right now struggle so badly that it actually makes the AI agents look bad. So we kind of want a little bit of, let's call it, conservative approach here. And when you think of a business to business solution, that's as conservative as you can get from a tech perspective. So in a way, it's either going to be super healthy to see a legitimate use case for an AI agent where businesses can come in here and deploy an AI agent to help them with whatever the case is, whether it be customer service or supply chain management or whatever it is. Ultimately, that is a good thing because there's actual utility, rather than an AI agent that really doesn't do much, even if it is tweeting or posting on X, and its posts are not very intuitive or valuable. In this case, maybe there is a value, and when the value proposition is high, there is usually a use case, and usually there is a reason to accumulate it and adopt into the project's future. So this is a very good thing, or could be a little bit of a negative thing, but honestly, I am leaning towards this being a better thing than just getting into another type of launchpad that just deploys more agents that do nothing. Okay, so this is good. Effortless setup with no code and AI. So we kind of talked about this, a little bit repetition, because their IDE offers that. Real-time data, automate logic across multiple chains. So a bit of a cross-chain integration, which is fine. And I kind of see the agnostic approach that they're taking here, which is interesting. Deploy, manage your dApps in seconds. This is their dashboard, a little bit of a visual. You can get started and go check that one out. And as you keep on going down, we get a little bit more info. Create your dApps using Graphs. Again, all-in-one window platform, which allows you to set up, manage, and monitor all your dApps actively, like executions, wallet connections, and cross-chain token exchange. So this is good. The Graphs still hasn't been part of our education yet here on the website, which is super important for really to know what Graphs are. Connect with wallets. Okay, across chains. This is what we want to see. Chain agnostic approach. This is a very healthy thing to see an application, especially if they want to offer services to all chain or crypto chains, which is useful. No limitation there. Especially when you're talking about EVM compatibility and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so this is important. Monitor, analyze performance in real time. And then you have some tutorials. Thumbnails are a little bit, I don't know what's going on there. ERC20 and GLQ chain token. And so build your dApps with no code. Again, more repetition, but you can see visually at least what it is and how it works more or less. There's 300 logical blocks that you can use to create your application. Open the IDE and connect a wallet. Great. And then as you keep on going on, it kind of gives you instructions on how to get going here. Export your DApp and in this format and deploy. Start building. Okay, cool. Manage your GLQ liquidity using Hub's built-in tools. Interesting. Like, it starts to look like a professional looking launchpad for an AI agent, right? This is what we're getting into, right? So it does look a little bit elevated into the experiences that we've had so far from AI agents. Explore Graphlinq chain transactions, buy, swap, and bridge GLQ, okay, and stake GLQ to get rewards. A little bit more, again, repetition. Too much repetition here on this website, guys. Way too much. Integrated for efficiency, okay, we got Mobula, we got Dex Guru and Dune for some data if you're looking for that. And then well-shaped tier system, basically for your APY, the tier 1, tier 2, and then depending on what tier you're at, that will kind of tell you what you're going to be earning passively, which is good. And the lowest fees, okay, of course, every chain says it has its lowest fees, and that's where we're at. And then some trustworthiness, some trusted leaders and users, and that's pretty where we get to some of these socials. You can see they're somewhat active, and we'll talk about their socials in a second. Stay connected, blockchain, no code, a few blog posts, I'm assuming, and it looks like I went on their Medium to see what they got going on there, and you can see that I did notice that they post about on average once a month, which for me is not bad, but it could be a little bit better. And that concludes their website. Okay, so far, the idea is there, and we feel very comfortable with this idea. The idea of the AI agent launchpad, but stepping it up to a level of which the quality improves from the current product offerings out there. And I think that there's some space definitely to provide a true AI agent launchpad that actually offers value. But the question is Graphlinq that project? Okay, so we got to be very critical here. Let's move on. Let's see what else we got here. This is their Git book. I have it already open. I just want to make sure. Yes, I do. And I'm just going to quickly, is this a Git book? I just want to quickly kind of see what they got going on here. And based on the window, I have to kind of reposition myself here with this window because it is not necessarily the cleanest fitting window right now. Sorry, guys. But you can see at least they got their documentation aligned. Now, again, it is a Git book, as you can see. But the question is are they giving us everything we need? And that's the biggest problem with a lot of projects, particularly if they don't keep up with the documentation. So this was last updated 1 year ago, and a year in crypto is like forever. And we got to keep these projects accountable to realize that they got to keep it up to date, especially a Git book. That's one of the major value propositions of having a Git book, is that it's an easy way to keep documents up to date, right? So GLQ, this is it. This is the token. But before we talk about that, we can kind of go from the top. We see we have the Graphlinq chain. This is the overview. They have a light paper, and then they have their overall overview. So they have the Graphlinq app, which again we talked about, pre-made automated templates to easy integrate to get applications going. They got their IDE environment. They have the engine, again, the marketplace. They didn't mention much about the marketplace on the website. The Graphlinq marketplace, the chain they talked about, and then the future. Okay, so there's a lot of little resources here if you want to go and dig around a little bit more about that, and let's keep on going. Okay, so that's that. So networks, what do we got? We got specs. I'm not sure what this is all about. Okay, we got consensus, the specs of the actual blocks time, 15 seconds. I'm assuming that's finality. Okay, that doesn't seem too quick, but that's the case. I think that's the case. And we keep on going down. There's a little bit of information that you might want to look into, but it's 2 years old. This is my biggest problem with a lot of the documentation here. So the key consensus mechanism differs from other proof of work or proof of stake algorithms in that it does not rely on miners to validate transactions or add new blocks to the chain. Instead, it is design authorities take on the responsibility. So it's like a proof of authority. We've seen this before. The quality of the contribution will dictate whether you're going to continue contributing and whether you're going to continue earning, right? So it's the quality. So that seems to make sense. And that's the main net. And then they have a wallet going on. If you want to use MetaMask, that's their official one. Let's see, and they give you instructions how to do that. The different libraries, PC nodes. Okay, so yeah, this is exactly what we want to kind of jump into, which is the GLQ token. What is it? What does it really do? GLQ is a native asset for Graphlinq chain. It's token used for every financial transaction, so it's meant to use as a gas, as a fee, and that way, it drives the network and all of that. That's a very typical use case for a coin. With the GLQ token, and this is what's kind of confusing. Is it a token or is it a coin? If it's an L1, we should be calling it a coin, not a token. So I'm going to quickly, it's tough because it's also an Ethereum based project, but it says that it has its own chain. So this is where, is it an L2? And I don't see it as an L2. I see it as an L1. But again, the confusion begins, guys. I'm just going to let you know the confusion begins. Every token minted since the creation of the token used gas fees to pay around, and it burned to reduce the supply. So they have a burning mechanism. So they're saying that the gas fee is going to be burned in order to make this deflationary. It is the fork of Ethereum. Okay, this is something to consider. So if it's a fork, it should be considered a coin. And then if it's considered a coin, and if it's a fork of Ethereum, that means there's an unlimited supply. Max supply is unlimited. So we got to be clear about that if that's the case. And ultimately, they're going to rely heavily on a burning mechanism to make it anti-inflationary. In fact, to make it deflationary. So the gas concept is super important because with the gas being fees incurring, there should also be a burning mechanism, and apparently they do have one. Okay, so Graph will be burned, reducing the supply of the token to assure a curve of evolution to help with the market adoption. I think they missed out on the biggest reason why the burn is necessary. It's about reducing supply over time and causing the price to have a pressure to the upside with regards to value. We will also use the token as DAO governance. Now, we went through the website in fairly good detail, and as you notice, there wasn't much about the DAO. Okay, and that is a bit of a problem. I want to just quickly look at the footer, and you can see that there's not much speaking about the DAO, and this would be a perfect location to put some information about the DAO. Now, if we go back here, they have a sentence. We will also be using the token as a DAO governance to offer the community and possibly of choosing the future Graphlinq and the next developments to focus on. And that concludes the information of the DAO. Now, if you know about decentralized autonomous organizations, there's a couple of decentralized approaches that we should be considering here in the Web3 space. Number one, the decentralization of the tokens themselves, the decentralization of the network, and the decentralization of the organization. So as a DAO, the decentralization of the organization is very important because who's calling the shots is obviously how you're going to decentralize the organization through governance, through a democratic process based on token holders, right? Token holders should have some sort of say. Where is the information regarding this? And if they have a treasury, which they do, how do we know how this is going to work, right? This is where things get so ambiguous, guys. And again, I'm not saying it's a red flag, but what I am saying is that there's risk associated without clarity. Okay, let's move on, and we'll do our best to make some clarity with what they offer. Okay, we're going to go level to level here. Okay, we see that the supply is 650 million, so current circulating supply, right around this. I think there's a little bit more than that, 670 as we speak. Reserved for migration on Ethereum, so this is what you see, the liquidity on the Ethereum network on Uniswap. So that's that. Ecosystem fund, we got 50 million, 50 million, not dollars, but tokens. So it all depends on the value of the currency at the current moment, right? So you got to, do that conversion. And usually this is also a percentage. It's a small percentage, but it's there. But you can see that there's some allocated to treasury, and then there's an ecosystem fund, and who manages that, and then who manages this? Are these multi-sig wallets? What kind of wallets are these? These are obviously on the liquidity on chain. That's fine. Those are secure. But what about these? And I know it's not a lot. We shouldn't be too concerned, but transparency is key. Right, this is the thing. I want to know who's in charge of these and how does this get distributed? Are they already in distribution? So, guys, I can go on here. And what I'm trying to say is, generally speaking, I don't know what's going on with some of this token allocation. Okay, so I'm going to keep on going down. You know, is there a vesting schedule for those tokens? And from my understanding, a lot of the tokens are already in, all of these tokens, just let me go back, are already in distribution. The only tokens that we're really waiting for are the ones that are going to be earned via rewards, right? That's all that's left. And this is according to the individual moderator on Telegram. He confirmed that with me, right? But it doesn't confirm it here very clearly. We confirmed that the only other tokens that are going to enter in circulations are the tokens via reward. Now, okay, so that means that these are also in circulation or not. And maybe they are. I don't know, guys. This is the problem. When there's uncertainty, there's risk. So clarity, guys, clarity. This was the bridge. They do have a bridge so that you can bridge back and forth from ETH to their Graphlinq network, okay, if you're interested. And then the rewards, staking, validators, and engine rewards. So again, if you want to stake, that's self-explanatory. You earn passively. Validators, if you want to become a validator, you get rewarded for validating transactions on the network. Another very typical thing, and this allows speed, right? This is a scalability solution to allow speed and obviously lower gas fees. And this is what you need in order to improve Ethereum's chain, and this is why they just took a fork of it, upgraded it with some new tech and new ideas, and made it a lot better. So good for them. That's a good thing. So proof of authority consensus, which is what we talked about already. That's their you know, consensus mechanism going forward. And then engine rewards. By running a Graphlinq engine locally on your PC, you are executing graphs on chain, which will trigger nodes and notify that they're actively contributing to the network, which will turn rewards to you with GLQs. Interesting, but again, there's a lot to be said here still. Continue, you can see you can run a node, install a node, dev tooling, you got graphs. So what are graphs? Quickly, graphs are based on block developed from external and based libraries, linked to the Graphlinq engine and exported into the JSON format. So basically they're blocks. And those are little, you know, programmable blocks that you can use to create an application. Okay, and then you go down and what is the engine? And I'm assuming that the engine is a program itself. The engine is the main core of the Graphlinq protocol. It's software process that executes graphs. So you can use the graphs to make engines. So these languages, the language is a barrier for education, but at least they do offer, you know, some documentation here if you want to educate yourself. And of course, look, new technology deserves the opportunity to reinvent languages and standards and lingo and all of that for their own use case. And sure, you gotta educate yourself regardless. So not bad. At least they offer it here. And there's a lot more here. Messaging blocks. They got exchange blocks and charting and, you know, machine learning and so on. Different blocks that allow devs to use in order to create engines. And that is basically what happens here. So the engine, the blocks, and then you start making your own little bots out of these engines and you know, subcategories, which are the graphs. Okay, so pretty cool. At least they got, you know, that happening here. But again, tokenomics, guys. What's the token distribution? You know, what's the vesting schedule for those small the remaining tokens? What's the emission schedule? Is there something that we should expect here from as far as emissions? Is it pure rewards? Okay, fine, but what's the emissions on those rewards, and how does the supply entering the market, you know, look like in the next little while? What's the projection looking like? So there's a lot to be said with regards to tokenomics, and I'm a bit on the fence about it all. And then we start to look at some of the documentation provided, and you can see that it is from 2021. This is literally yeah, this is really outdated, guys. This is not something that we should rely on. We start to see numbers thrown around here, old numbers, so don't rely on this, because I don't think these numbers are valid any longer. This is pre you know, basically it's fully diluted at this point. Apparently all the tokens are in circulation, and we're just waiting for rewards to enter circulation. So maybe all this is not valid anymore, and you can see it's years old. So, you know, the team got this much 6-month vesting. This is already done. This is 1 year vesting. This is already done. So this is already, in a way, that's a good thing. At least you know that the team has sold already if they were going to sell, and so on and so forth. All these tokens are already unlocked and out there, and you can see the timing based on the vesting, 3-month period and 1 year and 6 months and all of that. So a lot these tokens are already in circulation, which is a good thing. But at least update the community. Okay, update us with proper numbers. And I started to jump in on Etherscan to to see what's going on with those 500 million tokens. You can see 499.99 token supply right here. And then we got some wallets. Guys, we got some wallets, 20% in this wallet. It is a contract wallet. We got another contract wallet. And so those are usually safe given the fact that they're in a contract. But again, I'm not going to get into the absolute deep depth of the contract, but it would be nice to have these contract wallets listed on the Git book and describing what these wallets are for and who they belong to and where they are. Like, this is a lot of token. This is a lot of value. 20% total is about 40%. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they come from and where they belong. This is the Uniswap token. It's only 3.5%. And then we got Gate and Polygon and Gate. Now, this could be another liquidity provider. This could be, a provided liquidity to another exchange, but I would like to know which one. Right, and that would give us a sense of clarity and understanding. So again, a little bit more description for a lot of us. This is how people do deep dives, guys. This is how a retail investor should do deep dives and go look at these things and then ask tons of questions. The problem is that if the team doesn't offer the transparency, it becomes more than a deep dive. You become a forensics, right? So it's like on-chain forensics, and it's just too much. So a lot of people, if you don't want that friction, just provide the info. Just provide the info right on the Git book. Okay, so let's move on, and then we start to look at their own Explorer, that is their own custom Explorer, to see how the blocks are being, and it's very underdeveloped. Like, there's nothing happening here other than latest 50 transactions. That's all you really got. No data, no other information with regards to wallet sizes and this and that. I would love to see all of that, and maybe it's just underdeveloped. And if I click here, chain status, do I even dare? Okay, you got a little bit happening here, some data here, node servers, but is this even valid? Because everything's like maxed out here. Doesn't look like it's even valid. So this is one of my biggest issues when I see something like this that's so underdeveloped. It worries me, but again, it's a small project. It's not huge. It is very small, so maybe we're waiting for developments and so on. And again, like I usually say, if you're going to wait for everything to be perfect, guys, you're not speculating anymore. So if you're in speculation, yeah, you take a bit of risk, but with the hope that you're going to get somewhere. And, digging around on the internet, guys, I did go on IQ Wiki and find some information about the tokenomics, the utility, and there's a lot of information there, but I had to rely significantly on third-party applications to get details. Now, that shouldn't be the case, right? That shouldn't be the case. Now, all of a sudden, I start to think about, okay, what utility are they offering, right? This is part of their internal ecosystem, which is that IDE. Look, you can drag and drop different things. I don't know if I'm doing it right. There you go. You start clicking, you put stuff in, drag and drop, and you can start making an application. Timestamp, you get the timestamp. So a get function. There's probably some setters and getters. There's some JSON if you want to put in there. Obviously, basic data types, strings, and maybe some integers, or I don't know, floats and doubles and whatever they got going on here. I don't know, but you can see the APIs and different dictionaries and DEX tool integration. So there's a lot happening here. Avalanche integration. Okay, guys, this is good, no doubt. But now, are people using it? This is the biggest concern, right? What's the use case here? And you can ask the bot for help to see if this works. Now, just keep in mind, I didn't deploy anything. I didn't use this. I'm just clicking around here. Now, is this a functioning IDE? I would like to say yes. Guys, if you have used it or plan on using it, share your experience in the comment section below, because it does look interesting, but without actually implementation and using it, of course, we don't know. Okay, so let's take a look at what people have been using this for. This is a marketplace. So you create your bot or your agent, and then you list it on this marketplace. And you can see that there's not much happening here, guys. There's like a handful, and I would say that it could be that some of these belong to the team, that, them just demonstrating how it works and so on and so forth. And a lot of them don't look very, very professional to that matter, right? So look, it's very new, it's very fresh. I don't see much utility so far here happening, or much use case. Let me rephrase that. Much development happening here, but again, it's a small market cap, so it's still in speculation. Let's move on. What do we got here? Another Git book. Let me just quickly refresh, because I think this is the technical white paper. This is their white paper, very technical, okay? And honestly, not so technical. I like the fact that they realize that highlighting keywords are important because for education purposes. So I respect that. And that's obviously important. So a new way of designing chain application needs to be thought of. With the use of protocols like Graph Protocol or Chainlink, we are already starting to see major projects going into that direction. So the direction of what? Making it easier for applications to be built, possible. And as we keep on going down, this is the technicals, singleton threads. These are C language, known as C language, .NET Core. Okay, so this is the development, the engineering, the engine perspective. Guys, there's a lot of technicals here that I don't want to get into, right? The graph utilizations, that's that, and nodes executions. You can see this is beyond really what web, because this could be a Web 2 project and still be fine, right? And then we start to get into a little bit of Web 3. This is the graph wallet, okay? And what I want to do is stop here for a second. The architecture, because although this is a technical thing, it does apply to one of the core value propositions within this cycle, which is DePIN. Guys, I see AWS here. So let's read this. The engine infrastructure is deployed as pods running through multiple servers based on AWS clouds. So basically, they're trying to run it or spin it as it being a positive thing, which means that it runs 24 hours. And has highly available access, a 99.99 uptime. Guys, I really don't think that this is a value proposition that we should be thinking positively about here in the Web3 space. This is a very typical Web 2 backend solution. And yes, you might think there's 99.99% uptime. However, it's dependent, it's centralized on a company, and that company is also dependent, in that scenario, that company is also dependent on the fact that somebody's paying their bills. So if something happens where the AWS infrastructure is not being paid for, or the AWS goes down for whatever reason, a power outage, whatever happens, what happens to the backend architecture of this project? It basically dies. It dies with AWS. It's highly centralized. Now, if they had a different approach, when this work, where a proper partnership might be able to come into play, where they are able to get into a DePIN architecture, providing decentralized storage solutions, whether it be, I don't know, Filecoin, Arweave, whatever, or even compute, decentralized compute, if that's what they need. Because I'm not sure exactly what they're using AWS for, if it's just storage or if it's also compute. I can imagine it's also compute, but that's the case. There's lots of DePIN compute software solutions out there within the Web3 space that they could work together on and make it happen. Now, do they want to offer it themselves? Possibly in the future. But guess what, guys? Without a roadmap, what do we know? Right? There's no roadmap. I dug and dug and dug. I don't see any roadmap clearly, readily available for this project. So for me, it's like, okay, a little bit of an issue. I'm not crazy about this. It becomes to me that it looks like it could be a very viable Web 2 solution. So what I'm trying to say is Graphlinq, doesn't really need a coin. Why is it decentralized? Okay, they're nodes. I get it. And to run these projects in a decentralized way through governance, and which I don't see much of. Where's their DAO infrastructure? I don't see it. So this is where it's like a bit of confusion. If your ultimate backend is centralized, where's your decentralization? That's a centralized choke point. So keep that in mind. Okay, so that's something that I'm gonna definitely focus on in the next little while. Now let's move on. Let's take a look at some of the socials. They're very small, but they got 37,000 followers, some heavyweights following them, which is good. And, Graphlinq earns place in Google, a startup's cloud platform. This is cool, but it has no value to me. I'm in this space. I know what this space is all about, and this is cool, but any project could earn this place. It's not a very exclusive thing. No Python knowledge, no problem. Build your own Telegram price bot in just 40 seconds. Cool, you gotta admit, this is great. You can actually get a bot that does something very quickly. The problem is I don't see any bots being made. And I think that they need to incentivize ecosystem growth. And you guys know that when I do my deep dives, I focus heavily on the ability to show ecosystem growth. Where is the ecosystem growth for this project? where's the evidence that they're putting effort and focus on that? Are they deploying marketing dollars into that, or ecosystem dollars into it? I don't see that anywhere, right? So maybe they want it to be completely fair launch or completely decentralized in that regard. Yes, fine, that's valid, but you're going to see a very slow growth, and we're hoping, and obviously hoping, that eventually it picks up. Okay, and you're competing with a lot of projects that way, and without stimulating ecosystem growth, it's going to be very difficult to see actual use case. So I appreciate that. You know what? It's good stuff. Okay, so let's keep on going now. Top 10 countries holding most cryptocurrency. Okay, I don't know how that's valid. Another repetition there. Tax-free countries. Okay, why are they promoting different countries and taxes? I'm not sure. ID features. Again, they're really pushing their IDE and being able to create blocks and programs using blocks like Scratch. I don't know if you've done that with your kids or yourself, but okay, making it easier again. And that's their socials, and they post their frequent, but a bit of repetition again. Google and this and GLQ chain, interested in building. Okay, maybe they're going to offer a bit of support there, but that's about it. Okay, that's about it. So let's move on. Let's take a look at their Medium. You can see their average post is at about a month at a time. November, okay, 13th, December, January, and I think their last one is February, if I'm not mistaken. But you can see that it could be a little bit more frequent, but maybe there's nothing to talk about. I don't know if that's the case. Okay, so let's just move on. Let's talk about the team quickly. The people behind Graphlinq. They got 3 members, according to their LinkedIn, which is not a healthy thing. I'll be honest, it's not a healthy. But the one thing to note, that this is the CEO, not the founder. So the current CEO is John Robert, and he is definitely the one who's leading here. And if you look at it, he is a chief executive officer. This is how he slowly climbed up the ranks, type of thing. Redux, JavaScript, infrastructure management. He's a chief technology officer, and so on. So you can see that he basically built himself a career within Graphlinq within the last few years, which is cool, because, you know, he's definitely invested himself into it. And then he's the founder of CoinHub, self-employed, right? Founder of CoinHub. I'm not too familiar with what that is, but sure. Full stack DevOps, okay. Some experience here, which is good. And then that's about it, right? And then if you start looking at his education, Montclair State University database administrator. So you can see there's a little bit of experience here in the skills, C, TypeScript. He's a bit of a programmer, but it seems like he's programming in such a way, or has learned maybe on his own or something like that, and his experience does seem there, but maybe this needs to be updated. What do I know? But ultimately, okay, it's a 50-50 for me. Like, it looks good. He looks good. It looks like he has the capability to lead. Now, if we keep on going, this is the actual founder, and the founder himself is a little bit more directed towards the tech. I can see based on his profile here. Yeah, Merkle Tech Capital, self-employed. Okay. So when I see capital, that way he's a VC all of a sudden, which is interesting. Then the core team, he's part of the core team here at whatever this is, some sort of game. And then Graphlinq T Protocol, self-employed, and that's that. And then the founder of a Crypto Signals Hub, part-time, and he's still there maybe, or part-time, or it's not, I'm not sure. And then that's about it. So, you know, he does have programming experience. He's a programmer. He did go to school for it. Where's his education? I know it was here somewhere, but ultimately he has that right here. Yeah, software engineer, so I'm a senior software engineer, and so on. So education, you can see C, C Sharp, C++, Node.js, Rust, you have PHP and Ruby, and so much more. So he's definitely a software guy, which is good, talent, but he's not listed on the team. Like, if you go back here, why isn't he here? Is he no longer there? Is he just let it go? Or is this just not populated? Is it not kept up to date? And that's a problem, because we want to get bullish on this, guys, but who's doing this? Who's with you guys? This is the 3 guys right here, and these yeah, you get what I mean. Let's move on. All right, guys, that concludes my overall deep dive here. As you guys know, I do release a infographic for you so that you can have this summary as you do your research and you want to reflect on some of the details here for the future. And let's quickly kind of look at, some of this. The ecosystem is not bad. They got their own Explorer, they have their AI chatbot, they got the no-code IDE, the marketplace, the analytics platform, which is good, but you can see that there's not a lot of use out of it yet. Okay, I'm just going to keep that there. It's a yet. So it's still in speculation, but at least they got something going on over there. Utility, governance, gas, burning, staking. Governance is with a question mark because I don't see any evidence of a DAO or governance at the current moment. So either that it is in the future or not, I don't know, but that's a little bit of an issue given that there is funding for there's some token allocation for governance or treasury. That for me is a bit of a problem, but it's a small amount anyway. And governance from a DAO perspective would be cool. So I'm like, okay, maybe a 7. Again, you can definitely rank it on your own and what you feel. Use the details to do your own thing. There's no roadmap, unfortunately, so we don't know where they're going, if they're going anywhere. And to be honest, I went on their Discord and there's people complaining that there's not doing anything. So guys, there's a little bit of FUD there. Go check it out yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go check their Discord. Yeah, that's the thing. The team founded an experienced software engineer. Okay, the founder is very experienced. He has a background. He's then fine. CEO has Web3 and some dev experience. Okay, so we're okay with him too as well. But it's a very small team. And in the founder, I don't know if he's disconnected all of a sudden, if he's even part of it anymore. I don't know what's going on there. Who's working on it with no roadmap, no real information about the team, no development happening on the ecosystem. It bothers me that maybe there's nobody manning it. It could be the case, and if I get that feeling, it is the responsibility of the team to communicate what exactly is happening within the organization so that we can get bullish. So it's not my fault that I think that they're not doing anything because I don't see anything. Okay, so let's move on. Socials, 6 out of 10. Okay, so you can see their metrics are down in the last 30 days. They have 197 followers from the last 30 days, down 73%. 181 expos from the last 30 days, down 6.5%. But a lot of repetition on those expos. So much repetition that it looks spammy. They got to stop. You're going to retweet it once or do it again twice. Okay, fine. But then no more. You got to come up with something. That means if you're not able to come up with something to talk about, you're not doing anything. That's another indication to me that the project is stagnant. So either they got to come up with something or get to work. I have no idea, guys, but there's nothing to talk about. So they keep on reposting the same stuff. Okay, unfortunate. Tokenomics documentation needs an update and transparency. Guys, as you note, I didn't see anything. There's no vesting. Okay, maybe there is no vesting, but I see tokens. There that are unaccounted for. I don't know where they are, which wallets they're in, how they're going to be released, who's in control of those tokens. I don't know anything. And there's no emission schedule. There's nothing. The treasury, where is that? Who owns the treasury? Is it in a multi-sig? What's going on? I don't know anything about anything with regards to tokenomics. And unfortunate, that's a problem. The only thing that I do know is that the majority of the tokens are already issued. Almost all of them are already in circulation. So the lack or the scare of dilution or the risk of dilution is not really there. The tokens are going to get emitted based on rewards. And of course, the node rewards is a very healthy way to distribute as incentivization to secure the network. That's a very healthy way of releasing tokens into circulation. And from that perspective, the tokenomics has, some security, built-in security. However, transparency, guys, you need documentation. Without it, I'm just assuming. And assumptions, guys, is so risky. So let's move on. I need confirmations. I need details. Relationships, they have Mobula, on-chain data provider, DWF Labs, which is a liquidity provider. So that's all they really got. And I'm glad that they were able to say, look, we don't have many relationships. We have a trusted individuals within the space that trust us and so on, which we've went through already. But there's not much happening other than that. So very young project. I just want to make that clear to you guys. We're judging it based on its current status, right? Uniswap, KuCoin, Maxi, Gate, CoinX, and a few other small ones. And a lot of upside potential for getting listed on other major exchanges, of course, Binance and Coinbase and all the rest, but still very small, low-level liquidity. And the majority of the liquidity is on Uniswap, which we know is a little bit of an issue for gas and all of that. And a lot of people are turning away from transacting on Uniswap because of that. Right now, the Uniswap exchange rates are great because, of course, we do have a very little congestion on the network. But as soon as the congestion comes in, guys, there's going to be a lot of complaining happening there. So I don't know, guys. That's that. You know, there's upside potential for more listings on exchanges. Now, let's take a look at some of this. The price is fluctuating, guys. You know, this could be a little bit out of date at the current moment. I know it's been fluctuating. The market's been pretty crappy in the last little bit. And as a low market cap, we can expect a lot more fluctuation. And it could be, you know, as a $12 million market cap, guys, that's a baby. This is a baby. This is an absolute baby. Okay, look at its trading volume. I'm going to tell you this. One individual would have more trading volume than this. This is very, very low trading volume. Number one, it's a small amount, but number two, it's only 2.6% of the market cap, which is not a good ratio. You want at least 10% so we can see action. We want action. There's no action. There's small market cap. There's no trading volume. It's a very, very, right now, small, immature staged projects. Okay, so just understand that. The current supply is 670 million tokens that's in circulation. There's a max supply, so unlimited. Just keep that in mind. But again, just note that it's a fork of Ethereum. So Ethereum has the same property where it's max, but it has a burning mechanism that's meant to keep the supply at bay and in fact make it deflationary, okay, over time. So that's what we have to assume, that mechanism is going to come into play and do it properly. But their total and their current circulating supply are equal, which means that all the tokens are in circulation, which is interesting to me. But again, without confirmations about where those tokens are, those 50 million tokens and those three categories, I don't know where they fit in all of this. Okay, so either they're in distribution or not, and if they are, we need some graphics there to show us where those tokens are. And fully diluted $18 million, guys. Look, as you can see, the tokenomics is not that bad, and there's a bit of a discrepancy. So again, there's discrepancies everywhere with regards to numbers. They need to take responsibility of educating people and providing that transparency, and that's it. It's an L1, okay? It's an ETH fork, okay? AI agents. I think their language calling themselves a token, what they offer is a little bit deceiving. And again, I would love to know why they call themselves, what they offer is a token. In fact, it's a coin, but okay, maybe the choice of words. And it's smart contracts and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is interesting. The risk associated to not being transparent. There's lots of risk there. I don't even know what's happening, but then we can counterbalance it with its tokenomics being at least mostly fully diluted already. A lot of the mention of a DAO, but no documentation or evidence of a DAO. That's concerning. AWS infrastructure basically equals a centralized choke point. Problematic for me to be really bullish on a Web3 project that has that. Many good integrations. Polygon, tech stack, OpenAI. Okay, it's good, but it's, you know, Web 2, Third Web, and Avalanche. Okay, that's pretty good. We have some tech stacks and support, EVM compatible support, and so on. So that's good integration. Telegram is active and mods willing to answer any questions. I appreciate that. Discord is not very active. However, mods are also available. Medium posts are monthly. They could be a little bit more, but that's fine. Maybe they'll have nothing much to talk about. I get it. And I look at it like this, guys. There's nothing really to compare it with, or viable enough to compare it with. A comparison to what? I can see that it is unique in its own front. I can see that it has some possibilities, like to compare it with other projects, but even those other projects are struggling and they're very young and it's not even worth comparing. I just say, look, if this project does well based on the AI agent narrative, I can easily see it doing a 10x. But again, there's a lot of risk associated. This is why I call it price projection. If everything goes well for it and they can tidy up all this ambiguity and vagueness and perhaps gain a bit of traction with regards to their ecosystem and show use case and utility, you know, it could do very well. It could easily do a 10x. But at this current moment, guys, there's just a little bit too much. I only give it a 5 out of 10 because of that. The risk associated cools me down. And this is where we have to be playing really hard to get with our capital, because you can't be buying all kinds of different projects, especially if the project itself is not ready for market. Product market fit right now from a marketing communications perspective needs to be improved significantly here. All right, guys, let's move on. I know you're here to talk about charts, so let's take a look at that. What's going on here with this price action? Well, in the last little while, we have been seeing that the price has been falling, and that's not just exclusive to GLQ. In fact, it's across the market. The entire market is looking a little bit bearish here, and we're looking for bottoms. We're looking for opportunities to see reversals, to see an altcoin season, all that good stuff. Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Now, you can see the downtrend is super clear. There's no doubt about it that we're in a sell-off, clearly. And given the fact that a lot of the tokens have already been issued, it leads me to believe that who's selling is core contributors, early stakeholders, all the early unlocks that basically were unlocked in this phase are basically enjoying some of their profits, which you can't blame them, guys. You can't blame them. If that's what they want to do, that's what they got to do. Now all of a sudden we're asking ourselves, who's buying up that sell-off? Are there people buying the sell-off? And I don't see as many buyers as there are sellers. This is how we make a downtrend. Now, can we get some evidence that this, number one, the sellers are done selling? When do we get that evidence, number one? And when do we get some evidence that the buyers are now going to outperform the sellers, where demand outperforms supply? Right now, clearly, supply is outperforming demand, and this is why we're in a clear downtrend. And we have to respect that, right? Don't try to front run it, but we need a little bit more evidence, especially after a huge move like this. Now, we can highlight some key areas that I would like to see some reactions. And to be honest, right now is a good reaction level. Why do I say that? Because of the volume. Right? If we can hold this level, get a pivot point structure on this descending wedge, I'll let you know descending wedges are my favorite structures to trade, because you can kind of potentially see something come out of this. If we bump, come up, that would be great. Maybe come back down, great confirmation low, higher low, come back up, and then we start making a higher high, and then we get a confirmed higher high as we break, and then we start looking at it, whoa, this looks pretty good because we made a shoulder, a head, and another shoulder, and not only that, we got a nice rounded bottom, and not only that, we got a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and then we start, are we slowly changing direction here? And this is what you call a change of character, where all of a sudden we go from making consistent lower lows and lower highs to a slow transition, a pivot point to going higher highs and higher lows. And obviously, if we can get some bullish divergence in here, that would be epic. Let me get rid of some of this artwork so we can look at it a little bit more detail. Let's leave nice and empty, and you can see that really there's a tad bit of divergence, right? A tad bit. I wouldn't say it's a strong divergence. We're flatlining. Usually when you see the momentum flatline like this while the price action's falling, it would be a class C. Some might say, okay, Mike, it's a class A because, you know, we're slightly upward sloping, but is that enough for you? Like, it's not enough for me, right? If you want to dabble in here, get into a small position, maybe 10% of what you're willing to allocate to GLQ right into this level, okay, fine. And it could do well because it's like, did it get severely oversold? Not really. The expansions came in hot and pushed it really down, but the momentum didn't get super oversold. Volatility right now might be pushing to the downside, so I would love to see what kind of bearish response we get here. If you look at the yellow line, the orange line here, what about what happens if we come down here? Right, every time we push down, we come down for a lower low. Check it out. Low, low, low. Every time we go up here, we get a higher low. A lower high. Look at that. Lower high, lower high, lower low. And are we going to come down for a lower low where we break below? Now, let's entertain the possibility that maybe it doesn't. Okay, so the bearish scenario is a lot easier, I'll be honest, because the trend is your friend. We're coming down for another extension. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Let me get rid of the oscillators because they're pretty much pointless at this moment, because what you're really looking at is a market structure. What you wanted to do is to build that inverse head and shoulder, cup and handle, Adam and Eve, or something into this level as we do see market participation increase. You can see a bit of volume and so on. It's not very strong, but it's there. Okay, now, and I'm looking at the daily. Just keep that in mind. That's that. Okay, now what I would like to see, of course, is the divergence here, but what I also want to keep an eye on is this zone right into here. Okay, and I'm going to make this thinner so we don't clutter up the chart way too much. And I'm going to just kind of like focus on this. And I am going to obviously put in a box here, but I'm going to be very reluctant. Why? Because there are a few nodes of volume right in here that could act as resistance, but the majority of the emptiness, as you can see, suggests that if we do get a reversal right around this area, we do have the potential and the possibility to run right through without much resistance. A little bit of resistance. We can't be surprised if it acts as resistance, but I would say that it's a lot more likely to, if the price rises, to hunt that liquidity. You know what I mean? And basically get those shorts that, or those stop losses triggered that are basically right here and in shorts, right? So that's what I would be looking for. Now, another thing that I really want to look at is the 4-hour. Because we can analyze this in a little bit more detail as far as what kind of market structure do we want to see here to insinuate that we're shifting to the upside. So a pivot point structure, that's basically it. Now, we got to prepare ourselves for the worst case scenario, or a scenario that might cause a shakeout. And you can see that we've kind of fell below this level before. Very low volume wick, quick retracement right back up. Could we do it again? Could we see this thing actually fall right through? And it could be possible. In fact, we could even double bottom in comparison to this bottom. In fact, we can even make another lower low. And if you look at the extension level, swing low to swing high, and we come down 1.27, 1.618, it could definitely come down to about 0.22 cents. And that obviously would bring us down to another lower low extension. This is why your invalidation for any accumulation right now should be very clear, because we're still in a downtrend. And as long as we are in a downtrend, the possibility of a continuation down is still there. So yeah, you can be, very hopeful right now that we're going to get a reversal, but there's nothing in this chart that is currently suggesting that we are changing direction. It is still lower lows and lower highs. So you got to be very, got to play hard to get. What I would really love to see is a swing failure to the downside, is where we get an impulse or breakdown and we quickly get a recovery and get back above and back test in spring. Very similar to what happened here, almost exactly. In fact, we came down really hot, got back up, back test in spring. Now, could we do it again? Is it possible? Sure. Or could we come to this level and hold up at the golden pocket? From, as you can see, if I zoom in a little bit more, the golden pocket is spot on right here. Could we hold that support? Possible. So this is the thing here, guys. When you see these horizontals as it goes sideways, the bears are going to classify this as a bear flag, because we impulse down, we went sideways, and now we come down for another impulse. What's interesting, the most interesting part of all of this is this. Was this the swing failure before we continue? And maybe we come back up. Maybe then we come back down for a higher low. And then we start making higher highs and higher lows. If you remember what I said a few minutes ago about the market structure shifting, the pivot point structure on that inverse head and shoulder, we got time then. We got lots of time, right? What about if it does break to the upside and do one of these, makes a higher high and comes down higher low, and then we can get in right here. I know it's at a higher price than right now. I get it. But you're buying in at a level where you're not taking so much risk. Right? And you have to be willing to pay for risk. A profitable trader doesn't want to take risk. They rather get into a position, maybe it's a little bit more higher in price, maybe it's a little bit more expensive, but you're not taking the risks. And ultimately, if we get that pivot point, it's a smooth ride to the upside after a quick confirmation back test. And we can, and remember that the target of a descending wedge like this is the base of the wedge. And there are other levels that I would be concerned with. Of course, the base is right around here, I would say. But of course, the top of the volume gap, as you can see, there's a huge node of volume at the point of control right there that I would be really concerned with if we do get that recovery. I would put a note here to say, look, de-risk, trail up a stop loss, put yourself into some profit, and just in case it reverses and gets rejected here and it comes straight back down. Could it happen? Why not? Don't always think only positive. Be prepared for all kinds of scenarios, guys. Okay, that's super important. So the base of the wedge, I'm going to look for a little bit more confluence, which is right here. Put that here, and then I could also put some note that there is weakness right into this zone by putting a box and suggesting, there's weakness. If we can break above this zone, it's a pretty much smooth move to the upside, which will hit about 9 cents, 9.9 cents. So you can see there's good amount of weakness, a bit of a rejection right here, and more of a rejection right here. But then all of a sudden, if we can sweep all of this, we go for higher highs and get into price discovery. So back to the real issue, is this the bottom? Guys, there's no indication of that. And that's the issue right now across the entire market. Wait for structure. We're talking about a $12 million market cap project. The volatility is massive. I just want to quickly do a measurement from here to here. You're looking at already 100% through the volume gap. You can double your money. I would definitely be taking half on the double and de-risking when you double your money. Because of the small market cap, it's likely to be one of the laggers to wait for the absolute rotation. And in the meantime, we might get a rejection and come right back down and wait for all the larger caps to rotate. In the meantime, you could take half on the double, come back down, buy back in, half on the double, and then buy back in, and so on until it gets its moment for that massive rotation where the micro caps fly. Okay, I'm not saying GLQ will fly, because again, go look at those details on some of the deep dive things that we discussed. But ultimately, we're looking for a bottom, and it's not just GLQ, it's the market in general. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this live stream or this deep dive, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. But the most important part is that if you want me to cover another project that you have in mind, join the Discord, make the request, and we vote on the next deep dive. And the best part is it's absolutely free, guys. Take care, have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.